Guys, coming back for The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 12, not tomorrow yet, and I was really looking forward to this episode, especially since, like I said, The Walking Dead's really been on the streak lately, and this really was a crazy episode. I mean, definitely it looks like next week things are going to get even crazier, but damn, I mean, this really... A lot of people said last week's episode was very slow, and this episode should definitely show that they are definitely keeping the momentum going, and I definitely really did love that. Um, but before I start this review, I did want to tell you guys that this probably is going to be one of my last reviews for a little bit. Not for a while, but if you guys don't know, this whole week is a very crazy week for me. My school musical is going to be happening all week. I have very long rehearsals, and I don't know how long they're going to be. So because of that, I'm probably not going to be able to get as many reviews out. And, I'm not going to lie. It's a very tiring show. We're doing Les Mis for our school musical. It's a very tiring show, and I get very tired. That's one of the reasons why I haven't been putting reviews out as much lately. And, yeah, so if you guys don't see as many reviews or even no reviews at all, I'm going to try to get some stuff out like next week, like tomorrow, Bates Motel. I'm going to try to review the premiere of that. I can't promise you guys that though, because one, I don't know when we're going to get out. Two, I'm probably going to be very tired. So if reviews are not up all week, it's probably because I'm very tired. And yeah, I'm not going to lie to you guys about that. I feel like you guys understand that. So if you guys don't see reviews all week, that's why. With that said, let's get into this episode because it really was a crazy one. I like that we saw Carol in this episode because I've been wondering where Carol and Morgan have been since, the whole massacre with the walkers and whatnot, and Jesse's death and things like that. We haven't seen them since then. We finally saw Carol and Morgan in this episode. We start right from Carol's perspective, which I really love. She picks from the cans in Alexandria. Outside the walls, she takes down a walker. Back at home, she gets dressed after a shower. Later, she bakes acorns in her kitchen, and in the street, she hands out cookies to various Alexandria residents as kids run around playing. Finally, she arrives at Tobin's, gives him some cookies, who's hesitant to accept them. He does and eventually tastes them and says that they're the best beet and acorn cookies he's ever seen, he tells her. Someone yells they're back, and the RV pulls into Alexandria, and basically they've now come back, and Sasha and Aaron are the first to greet them. Rick tells Sasha to grab Olivia to inventory their new supplies, and then tells everyone to meet him at the church in an hour, and he tells Carol that they're gonna have to fight. She looks at her last cookie as Rick drives away, basically realizing she can't just be this homemaker anymore. She needs to fight, she needs to get into it, and I think she knows that. And of course, she's not actually a homemaker. That's who she's been hiding as, and she can't really do that. So Morgan approaches Carol from behind, tells Carol it's been weeks since they talk, and he asks her why no one told Rick about Morgan keeping the wolf, because that was probably something that they should have known, and no one really knew about it. And Carol wants to forget it and move past it, and Morgan urges her not to cover for him, because in doing so, it's like she did it too, but she insists that it's not like that. She walks past Sam's grave, and we see that she left a cookie on it, which is kind of sweet, but also kind of disturbing. I thought that was a good way to show where Carol's been and things like that. Definitely show that we're looking at a changed Carol who doesn't really have grudges against anyone. I like seeing that. So later, Rick explains the hilltop situation, the community gathered in the church, and of course, he doesn't really know what to do. He explains they'll have to fight the Saviors before they find them because they'll find them eventually, and Rick insists that this is the only way to be sure they'll win a fight with this group, because obviously, they could tell that the Saviors really are putting up a fight, and obviously, they're willing to fight, but they don't want to, but if they have to, then they have to. So Morgan looks very skeptical. Rick wants to know if anyone objects. Everyone looks around at one another and then back at Morgan, who stands up, and he's questioning if Rick is sure that they can beat Negan, and Rick is. And of course, they don't really know how dangerous Negan really is. I mean, Rick is thinking, okay, this is not gonna, this will be fine, we'll be able to beat him, which shouldn't be a problem, but everyone else is not sure, and Morgan says that telling him is all they have to do and give them a choice. Rick says that in doing that, they'll be giving up their advantage, and Rick asks the group if anyone else wants to talk to the Saviors, and Aaron stands up and says that he won't let another event like the Wolves happen again. Rick says it's settled then, concluding that they just kill them all, and that's what they plan on doing. So Carol lies awake in bed and rises up to open a notebook. She's trying to keep count of how many people she's killed and circles the number 18. So she's now killed 18 people, which I thought this was kind of interesting when we found this out. So she kind of has this notebook keeping track of how many people she's killed. Now, why exactly she does this, we don't know really what the significance of it is. Like, is there a certain amount or something? I don't really know, but I just thought it was interesting to see. I like that we got more development with Carol. It's something I think the show's doing really well. Like, I think something the show's been doing really well this second half is focusing more on character and less on just mindless action, which this episode definitely didn't do. There is action in this episode, a lot of it actually, but it felt necessary. So Maggie and Glenn then sit together, discuss things. Maggie's going to stay on the perimeter to keep watch because it's the safest option. Obviously, she's pregnant and it's just safer for her to stay there. And Maggie feels responsible for the deal having negotiated with Gregory. And I can understand why Maggie feels, like she's the one to blame for this because she was the one talking to Gregory. She was the one that offered the deal to him. And she kind of feels like this is her fault that they have to fight. And she's obviously really worried. And I can totally understand that. So Carol walks down the street smoking. Tobin asks for a smoke. She sits with him. He smokes her cigarette. And Tobin admits he's worried about Carol going with the group on their hunt for the saviors. He's scared of the things she can do, and he credits to her being a mom. That's how she can do the hard, scary stuff. And he tells her that she's something else to him, though. And they share a kiss on the stairs. And it seems like Carol and Tobin are going to get closer. And it's very interesting to see. And I've heard people complain about her and Daryl not being together, but I don't know. I've always seen her and Daryl as just friends. Her and Tobin, this is interesting for her to actually have a love interest. And, I thought that Carol would try to push people away, but it really does seem like Carol is at a point where she's ready to have a love interest. And I like seeing that. It's really good character development for her character, and I like that. So Aaron was unpacking in his room. He tells Rosita that he's leaving. She asks why, and he replies that it happens. And we knew that this was coming because, of course, when he was talking to Rosita, he saw Sasha. And when she asks why, he says, "Why are dingleberries brown? It's just the way shit is." And concludes with, when he first met her, he thought that she was the last woman on Earth, and now she's not, and he leaves. And that's true. I mean, think about how Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita are. They thought that they were the only people standing. And now that he knows that there's other women out there, he doesn't really need Rosita anymore. And she cries. Eugene looks on eating a cookie, wearing a shirt that says Virginia's for lovers. She slams it as he offers her a cookie. And it was quick, but it makes sense. For that scene we got with Abraham's character, it makes sense why he had to say goodbye to Rosita and dump her. It made sense. So Rick Glen has shown Daryl, Maggie, and the group from Hilltop map out a plan. And Tara and Denise then talk in the kitchen. Tara tells Denise that she loves her, and Denise says that she'll say it back when Tara returns. Tara invites Denise to leave for the safe zone for 2 weeks, but Denise shuts it down because she's the only doctor left in Alexandria, and obviously she feels she's going to be needed because there are going to be people that get hurt, and she can save them. She wants to be able to, and of course we knew that she wasn't a real doctor, but now she's starting to know what she's doing, and obviously she wants to stay, which is interesting to see how this is going to play out. I really do see the worst for Tara and Denise. Like, the way it's going, it really does seem like these two are probably going to break up, and I really do see that happening. So the mapping continues. The group comes to the conclusion on where the armory must be. Rick wants to go in at night while they're sleeping, but New Guy claims that the guards won't be sleeping, and Rick insists that they'll open the doors to them because they're going to give the saviors what they want, which is Gregory's head, and basically, the group comes to a stop on the road, and they honk their horns before exiting their cars, and Rick and Gabriel discuss how committed Gabriel is to being a part of the mission, and this was an interesting scene. Things have been very interesting with Gabriel this entire season, because they haven't really trusted him, and he's been trying to gain their trust, and in this episode, it seems like he pretty much has, and basically, Rick asks why Gabriel's still wearing his priest outfit. He claims it's because it's still who he was, and it'll be hard for people to see him in the dark, and I think that's a good reason. I really do think that Gabriel is genuine here, and I can understand if someone thinks that Gabriel's, kind of bullshit here, but I think it's true. I think he really is trying to stay true to his morals. From the beginning, that's who Gabriel's been, and plus, kind of camouflage it as well. So Rosita approaches Carol and brings up Morgan being the one to try to talk everyone out of this plan, and she's worried about Morgan being there and them keeping Morgan's secret because, they haven't told anyone about what Morgan tried to do with the wolf, and if Rick finds out, he'll probably try to get Morgan away from the group because knowing Morgan, let that wolf survive, obviously threw a huge wrench into their plan, and is part of the reason why things got as crazy as they did. So Rosita walks off, Carol puffs her cigarette, and walkers then stumble through the woods. Glen takes him down with Heath. They discuss never having to kill anyone so far. Glen tells a story about seeing something so awful that you can't sleep or eat, and Heath agrees that he has been there. Glen imagines that killing someone has to be worse than that. He admits that he's nervous before he starts chopping up the walker, and I thought it was interesting. We got back to the idea that Glen hasn't really killed anyone. He hasn't. That's been one of Glen's solutions, that he just hasn't killed anyone. He's just lived because he's been very lucky with that. So it's interesting to see, and especially him having to kill some people, you can tell that he hasn't done that before, and it's hard for him to do. So the group meets near the convoy. They have their walker head in a crate, and Rick explains the plan and tells everyone that this is how they eat. They roll out at midnight, and Carol asks Rick why Maggie's there and insists on staying back with her, claiming Maggie shouldn't be out there in the first place because, of course, she's pregnant and the baby and everything, and it's just not safe. So Jesus shows shows Rick the walker heads, explains the best option, but says one has a different nose. Rick punches it, makes up a story on how it got so messed up, and the guy from Hilltop says the saviors are scary, but this prick's got nothing on you, which I love that line. It really does show that Rick is willing to face the saviors. He doesn't care. If he can take out the wolves, if he can take out the governor, he can take out the saviors, and there should be no problem with that. I mean, he's willing to put up a fight, and it's clear they haven't really dealt with anyone like Rick before, which I really did like seeing. So Andy pulls his car up to the compound, red lights turn on, someone yells at him to step out of his car, they tell him to bring the head up to them, and he does. Two men greet him with guns, Andy opens the bag and shows them the head, they accept it as a head quite excitedly, however, one analyzed the head, and Andy says that Gregory broke his hand, and I love the way this was done, just the way that they were happy about the head. I mean, it's weird, but it's pretty funny as well. The man holds the head up to next to his own, moves his mouth and talks for it, and he accepts the offering and tells Andy he can bring more stuff home and goes inside, leaving the other man outside whistling. Daryl then kills the man, they move his body away, the man brings the hostage out, Michonne kills the remaining guard, and the group swiftly enters the building, and they split up and raid the place quietly. Rick opens the door, Daryl looks inside, Rick leads the way, he finds a man sleeping, sticks his knife in the man's head, and Glen and Heath find another room with a couple of men inside. Glen draws his knife, approaches one, they're both very hesitant, and Glen kneels down beside the man, drives his knife into the man's head, he tears up and breathes heavily. This is the first time that Glen's really killed anyone. Obviously, this is very hard for him to do, and he's about to do the same. Glen does it for him because he just can't bring himself to kill someone else, and you can understand why this is really hard for Glen to do. I mean, again, like I said, he's a man that's had his morals, and he hasn't killed anyone, and this is just something that Glen doesn't want to do. So on the wall, there are pictures of people with their heads beaten out or hanging. Glen looks at them quite terrified, knowing that he has to kill some people, and he really doesn't know if he wants to do that. So outside, Tara asks Gabriel if he's still a priest. Gabriel says that Rick and Carl taught him about guns and how to contribute, but he's still a priest, and that's just who he's gonna be. I mean, they've kept who up they are. Like, for example, Denise is still a doctor in this world, and that's still who they are. And, if Gabriel still wants to be a priest, let him be a priest. And Tara confessed to Gabriel that she lied to her girlfriend this morning, and I like that this was, basically Tara's ability. Tara was able to confess to Gabriel because he's a priest, and I like the way this was done. She tells Gabriel that she lied to her girlfriend this morning, telling her that she loved her to cover something up. Gabriel asks what she was covering up, and Tara says she told Denise she had never done something like this before. Jesus asks if she loves Denise, which she does, so Jesus says that she knows what she's fighting for. She's fighting for Denise, and she shouldn't worry about it. But like I said, I really do feel the worst for these two, because it seems like Tara and Denise just want very different things, but Tara does still love her, and so it's very complicated between those two right now, and it's interesting to see where that's going to go. So Sasha finds a door that she can open. A man walks out from another door, slices Abram, and Sasha stabs him, but he sounds an alarm. Maggie and Carol rush to help, but Carol insists that Maggie shouldn't be there. A walker approaches. Carol kills it and tells Maggie she has to stay behind. And Tara tells Jesus that they need to go. Eddie drives back to the hilltop. Jesus insists that no one will see him, and he rushes in. And inside, Rick goes down Saviors with guns down Saviors with a machine gun. He, Michonne, and Daryl rush down a hallway, and this was a really crazy scene. I mean, they just start taking out Saviors one by one here. Aaron then hides in a hallway, eventually kills a man. He opens a door and a man raises his gun at him, but Rosita guns her down, and a gunfight ensues in the hallways. Tara sees people trying to flee. She guns them down, and it seems like they've taken him out with no problem, really. But you can tell that obviously there's more coming. I mean, they think that this is good, but there definitely is more coming. So Heath and Glen shoot their way out as Aaron and Abraham kick in a door. Abraham finds a room growing weed, and Glen and Heath find the armory, lock themselves inside. They pick up machine guns, unload at the door. Heath carefully opens the door, and they see the pile of bodies they just shot down. One man raises a gun to them, but Jesus puts him down, and outside, Gabriel finds an injured man with a gun to his head, and he cocks his rifle, tells him to drop the gun. The man questions whether or not he'll actually kill him, and the man tells Gabriel that they're all dead, and Gabriel shoots him down, and that last line of the man saying that you're all dead, I think he's basically saying, look, if you killed us, we're definitely going to come after you. And I don't think they're really thinking about that now, because obviously they just want to take down the saviors, but you can tell that there definitely are more out there that are allied with them, and they're definitely coming after them. You definitely see that in this episode. So the next day, Rick and the group leave the compound. Glenn invites Heath back to the safe zone. Heath declines the invitation, and everyone hugs upon returning, basically thinking that they've succeeded. They don't really think that this has gone wrong at all. They think, okay, we did this, everything's fine, and we took out the saviors, we've made the trade, now we can get the crops that we need, because obviously, remember, this whole trade was, you kill the saviors for us, and we'll give you the crops that you need. That basically was what the trade was. So Heath ends up declining the invitation, and everyone hugs upon reuniting, and why do I think Heath doesn't want to go back to the safe zone? Maybe it just isn't the same for him. I think Heath, he was just someone that this isn't the same for him, and everyone hugs upon returning. And it's a good scene. I like seeing everyone reuniting and them succeeding for a change, but you don't know if they're gonna get out of this easily. Morgan is soldering something together back at Alexandria. He breaks down crying, and he's really upset because, again, remember, he initially didn't really agree with this mission, and he kind of was opposed to it. And because of his morals, I think that's why he's really crying about this. So Rick and Michonne then talk outside, and she says she's wondering which was Negan, because clearly Negan was one of those guys, and they catch someone who's trying to escape on Daryl's bike. Rick draws his gun. A radio sound orders them to load their gun, and we realize that they're talking to Rick. And this was a very crazy scene here. They're saying to lower his gun. Rick orders them to come out, but the woman on the radio tells them they won't come out, but they have a Carol and a Maggie. So basically, Carol and Maggie have now been kidnapped. We don't know where they've gone, and obviously they are definitely in for revenge, and that's basically how the episode ends. So overall, guys, a really strong episode. There were a lot of things I definitely really did love about this episode. First of all, like I said, I really love seeing Carol again. I like where they're headed with that, but you can tell that definitely something bad has happened to Carol and Maggie. Carol even told Maggie it's not safe for her to be on this trip, and you can tell they've been kidnapped, and it looks like it's gonna get crazy next week. I mean, this woman that's kidnapped them really seems very skilled in doing this kind of thing, and really does seem like a genuine threat to Rick and the group. And like I said, I really do think Rick thinks he can take them all out when he can't. Like, there are definitely people that they didn't take out, and they're gonna multiply, and we know, like Jesus said, there are a lot of people working for Negan. This woman clearly is working for Negan. You can tell how Negan's gonna get to Rick, definitely. So, definitely very interesting to see where that's gonna go, and it really does seem like this is gonna be hard to do. I mean, they've kidnapped Carol and Maggie, and they don't know where they are, so obviously they're gonna try to get them out, but they don't really know what to do here. That's gonna be very interesting to see, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where they're gonna go with that. I like seeing the character development with Gabriel. I think they're doing a very good job with it, because the thing with Gabriel is that he has first come across as this priest, this priest that was very shady, and now he's really proven his worth, and I think he did a very good job at showing where his loyalties are, and I really like the way that was handled. Really good stuff with Gabriel in this episode. But let's talk about Morgan, because Morgan's in a very tough position. I mean, he knows, what happened with the wolf, but nobody else knows. And, Carol and Zia right now are saying that they're not going to tell anyone, but obviously he's very worried that it's going to get leaked. And I feel like at some point they've got to find out. This has got to be something that they talk about, because if Morgan's going to continue to cry about it and be really upset and feel like he shouldn't be part of these missions because he knew what he did, I can understand that, and they definitely need to find out at some point. I really feel like at this point, Morgan's just going to straight up confess to Rick. I could honestly see him doing that, given the nature of who Morgan really is, things like that. I could really see him just saying to Rick, look, this is what I did, and I'm sorry, but this is why I had to do it. And I think if he tells Rick why he had to do it, I think Rick will definitely understand because of that. I like seeing Glen have to kill someone this episode. I mean, you can tell that this is very hard for him to do, but I like the way that was done. You can tell why Heath kind of declined the invitation, because now he knows that this is what he has to do, and he really doesn't want to have to do it. So, very interesting to see. I like the way that was done. Tara and Denise, like I said, I really do feel the worst for these two. I mean, I feel like Tara, wants them to be together, but she kind of knows that things are not going so well for them, and they probably can't really be together anymore, and I like the way they're handling that storyline. Very interesting stuff there. I like Tara and Denise overall, and I hope the best for them, but I don't really think the best is yet to come. I really think the worst is yet to come, honestly, and I think this is one of those shows where things are just going to get worse, and you can definitely tell from this episode that things are definitely going to get worse, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. There is a whole thing about if Rick is still a good guy, and I don't think the whole good guy thing is a part of Rick's, morals. I think Rick hasn't been a good guy. He's kind of doing, in this world, being a good guy isn't what gets you to survive. Rick is doing what he can to survive, and it's the strategies work for him, and I think that's really the thing now, is that Rick knows that he's willing to kill, and he even said, look, we can talk to the Saviors, but if he had to kill them, he had to kill them, and he knows that he had to do that because they were such a threat, and definitely it's getting very interesting. You can tell that Negan is going to come after them. You can tell how crazy things are going to get, and I can't wait to see what happens there. Not can't wait to see, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I also like this whole thing going on between Carol and Tobin. It's clear that those two are starting a relationship, and I'm interested in seeing really where that's going to go. But overall, guys, great episode as usual. Definitely really am enjoying this part of the season. And like I said, it really does seem like next week things are going to get crazy. I can't wait to see where things go next week. Let me know if you guys saw this episode. I really don't know what my next review is going to be because, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get reviews out for tomorrow. I'm probably going to be tired, so I don't know. And of course, I have homework and things like that, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a review out tomorrow. I want to, but I don't know. And if I do, it'll be for Bates Motel, the season premiere of Bates Motel. So I probably will get that out. I'm not really sure though, so I can't really tell you where my next review is going to be. What I will say is, whatever I don't review, I most likely will catch up on the weekend. So I will definitely get back to things on the weekend, things like that. That's why I've been very behind. Just I've been very tired, things like that. Just wanted to tell you guys that. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Like I said, I don't know what it's going to be, but whatever it is, I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.